Okay, so what we're doing today is how to set up the camcorder for the My Story project, and we're going to start through everything that you need to know. This cabinet is where we keep all the video equipment. So we get the keys out, unlock the doors here, and I'll show you where we find certain stuff here on which shelves. The cameras are going to be always up here on the top shelf on the right hand side. The tripod's going to be down on the next shelf. The light stands and things like that, and the curtains for the window, and then we've got some boxes down here with some miscellaneous equipment. Okay, so this part here, this is for how to set up camera 1, and the reason I say 1 is because there's two different tripods that we use, and they have different kinds of clips on them. So let me show you what I mean by that. This is camera 1, and it's got a kind of a square clip that fits right into the tripod clip here that holds the camera on. And if you get a little closer, I could show you how that works a little bit more. Okay, here's the bottom of the tripod attachment device for camera 1. So it goes in like that. This pulls out like that, so it's square down here in the bottom, and it slips in like that. And then the camera is locked onto the tripod. Here's the contents of the box. We have the remote that we use for all the camera functions. It's got a start and stop switch and a zoom switch. Here's the microphone, and we'll show next how to put that onto the camera. And then this is the power cord for camera 1. This end goes into a regular 110 socket, and this one hooks up to the camera right over here, where I'll show you. There's a little thing you have to push up here, and then you plug it right in on that corner. And the other end of it gets plugged into a regular plug. Here's the part about putting on the microphone. The microphone part, this goes towards the subject, and this goes into the clip on top of the camera here. So you put it all the way in and then slide it forward, and then you tighten up the little thumb screw here. Can you see where that was? And then to take it off, you just undo it and slide it back. So that's all there is to the microphone. So before we showed you how to plug in the power that goes right here to the back, there's a little thing that has to slide off. So that's the power to the camera. And then here's the power button right above that part here. So you just push that down, and it makes a little noise when it comes on. Okay, so this next part is how to hook up the camera to the monitor or the TV screen that we use to display. It's kind of in an awkward position, so we have to first lift up this little handle and flip this thing here that says HDMI, flip that up out of the way, and you connect this camera, this connector here is a mini HDMI, and it goes over to the plug here on the right. We'll show you the other connection for the TV part in just a second. Now we're connecting the other end of the cable that goes between the camera and the monitor to the back of the monitor, and it's got a wider HDMI plug here, and that goes into either HDMI 1 or HDMI 2. It doesn't matter, you just control that by the front of the TV. So we're just going to use 1 and plug it in right there. Okay, the next step is to put the memory card, that's SD card, into the two slots in the camera. Let me show you how to do that. First, there's a little door here that needs to open up. It slides across like that, and you put these memory cards in with the label facing the front of the camera. And there's two slots here. It goes in that, and it just pushes in. And you can do the same thing with the other one. I always recommend using 2 memory cards for this camera, just so we don't run out of space on the memory card. When you finish, you have to make sure you close the door on the memory card slots. Okay, one of the critical buttons, in fact probably the only critical button during the camera operation part, is this button right here. It has a picture of a camcorder on it, but that's kind of hard to see. So it's just always the bottom button, and it's the one on the far left. What that does is this button switches between getting ready to shoot and the menu functions systems of the camera. And when you push the button, it goes to the menu like you can see over here on the screen. This is one of the menus. And then it goes back to the shoot function. I'm just pointing at the table and the floor right here where it's going to be shooting. Okay, this next part here is how to hook up the headphones. The headphones are used for doing a sound check to make sure that the sound from the subject's voice is coming through correctly through the microphone and is being recorded correctly. So how you do that is you first have to get the camera into the menu function and then plug the end of the headphone plug into this middle hole down here in the bottom. You don't have to worry about which ones it goes into. It can only go into the middle one. It won't fit into the smaller one. So that's the hole for the headphone jack. So now we're talking about how to set up the headphones so you can hear the audio through the headphone. So we need to go back to the menu function. So I'm right now I just have the camera pointed at a chair, the table, and the floor. I'm going to go back to that select button that we just talked about that goes to the menu screen. And then I'm going to touch the little box on the top left of this screen here where it says menu, and then go over here to the one that looks like a tool that's on the far right that's the one I just displayed now. And then you need to take your finger and scroll along the bottom part here till you come down to the one that says AV headphones. And it's this one right here. There's a switch over here where the little triangle thing is, right? Can you see my finger in there where I pointed to it? And that's got a button that's AV or headphones, and you need to switch that to headphones so that you can listen to the part that's on the audio of the tape that you're recording. So again, that was menu, tool, roll it up here, and headphones, AV headphones, like where it's highlighted, and make sure the headphones part is selected. One thing that you need to check here is sometimes you can't hear the volume in the headphones. So we've done the menu here where it's onto headphones, and then you slide down the screen to volume, and what you need to do is turn up the volume on the headphones, and that's this switch here. So you slide it to the right or hold down the button and make sure it goes all the way up to a higher number here. That's going to increase the volume in the headphones. Before you check the volume in the headphones though, you need to go out back to the shooting mode. So I first hit the X in the top, that gets you out of the menu screen right here. It's hitting the X, but it's not going. Now we're back in the shooting mode with that button that I told you about before that's on the camera on the lower left. So now it's in the shooting mode, and now you can check the headphone volume coming through to make sure that the client's voice is correct and that you're getting sound actually recorded on the chip. There's one more step here. We have to initialize the chip, so I need to show you where the chips are. They're kept in this plastic bag attached to this clipboard. And the other step that's on the clipboard is the logging sheet for each chip that you put in your name, the date you checked it out, and things like that, just to keep track of where the chips are and who's got them. And the chips are in these little plastic boxes here, and they open up just with a thing like that, and you can see a couple of chips are in here. And the chips have a number space, and on the back of them, that one doesn't, but on the back of the other ones, they have a number on white, so that's what we use to check them out with. And the next I'll show you is how to initialize the chip in the camera. We showed you earlier that you need to open the door and put the 2 chips in the little chip slots. And now we're going to show you how to use the camera to initialize the chip. Again, you first push that special button that switches between the shooting mode and the menu mode, and go up here to hit the top menu, and then again over to the toolbox, the tool icon, hit that one, and then scrolling it up down to where you say initialize, and I keep sliding by it here. Here's the initialize, and then I'm going to hit the little orange arrow there to the right of it, and that'll bring up that I want to initialize memory card A. So you just touch that one, and then it tells you if there's anything on it already. You want to make sure that that card hasn't been used for something else. But assuming that it's a video that we don't need anymore, then you hit the initialize button at the bottom of this screen. And it erases all the files on the memory card. It's just making sure that you really want to initialize that and erase everything on there. So after you've confirmed that, you do yes. And now it's initializing. And you hit OK when it's done. And that's all there is to that. Again, to get back, you hit the X in the top right hand screen there, and then the button on the camera to get back to shooting mode. We're going to talk just a little bit about the remote. That's the remote to use for camera 1. And it looks just like the other remote that we're shooting here. I'm going to talk about 2 buttons on the remote. That's really the only 2 that we use. The first one in the top upper left-hand corner says start and stop. That's how you turn the camcorder on and off to start shooting. Push it once and you'll get a red button showing in the viewfinder of the camera and a red button showing on the display. That means you're shooting. Red means that you're shooting. If it's looking green when you push the start stop button again, that shows that you're pausing. It's got the circle with the 2 parallel lines that shows that you're paused. So green means you're paused, red means you're rolling. Okay, the next 2 buttons we're going to do are the ones that are 2 longer buttons on the far right hand side under where it says zoom. The top button is T, that's for telephoto, and the bottom button is W for wide. And we'll show next on the screen how the zoom works. Now I'm starting to roll here, so I'm going to have the red button showing at the top of the screen on the display. And now I'm going to hit the T button for zoom, and you can see that that's going to go in tighter and telescopically. Now I'm going to hit the W button for wide, makes it a wider shot like this. You can also see that on the top part of the monitor there when the zoom was being activated. We're up at the end of this class for how to operate the camcorder for the CR2 My Story project. We touched upon several things today. We first touched upon how to set up the tripod, which tripod to use, how to connect the 2 cords to the camera to power one of them, and then the other one was to connect it to the display, the monitor like we're showing here. We talked about the SD cards that go into the camera where you record on. We talked about the buttons for how to operate the camera with the remote and the zoom. We talked about setting up the headphone to make sure the volume is correct. We showed you where the power switch is and how to connect the microphone to the camera. So I think we've covered all the basics of what you need to know to operate the camera. You can certainly go back and review sections that we've covered here. We also have a very good set of instructions that Ron created when we first made up this class. It's got a lot of copies of pictures out of the manual for the camcorder, and that's something else that's helpful to look at. And I also recommend that before you go trying to do this all yourself, that you have somebody around who can help you answer the questions that might not have got covered, or if there was any confusion with these instructions. I'm always glad to help. You can always call on me to help out with how these things work. And I think that is a wrap.